Hey, we are moving the machine. Just leaving the home farm where I cut 4 or 5 loads of wood here and got the dump truck and tag trailer guys moving me right now. And that's the forest that we're leaving, where we finished up harvest, left a lot of trees, and I think it looks pretty good, and it'll be good to go to harvest again here in 10 or 15 years. But I'm going to my next woodlot that I own, about 25 acres, and it's probably 7 or 8 miles down the road, 8 or 10 miles. Yeah, I'm excited. I just, it's March, it's early March, and I wasn't sure if I could get this done, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep harvesting as we're getting closer to spring and the snow is getting deeper and stuff. But boy, I got the check from the last load of wood and it was pretty good, so I thought I better keep going while the market is good. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I just opened up the driveway here the other day with my little tractor, and hopefully I'll be able to get in there with this and pack a landing area down that I can move around with my tractor in. So off we go. Well, I've done a horrible job trying to document my logging operation. So anyway, I actually decided, it's early March, and I decided to go ahead and move over to my other woodlot down the road and try to start logging in this deep snow. And I had a dump truck and a tag trailer. He came over and picked up my little processor and moved it over yesterday, and I opened up a yard. I actually opened up a yard with the tractor just opened the snowbanks off of the road, because those were hard as a rock, and get a couple feet of snow on the ground in the woods. So I cleaned things up. I cut some trees yesterday. I made kind of a yard, and after work, got done work early today, and I hooked up I hooked the logging winch onto the tractor, and I loaded it up on my big F350 on the flatbed trailer, and I drove it over, and I got 3/4 of the way over, and snap, boom, the hitch snapped in half, the actual receiver end on the truck. That whole big steel beam snapped right in half, and there I was stuck. So I've got my little tiny Chevy Silverado with this probably 5,000–6,000 pounds of payload back there, and the rear end of the truck is just about dragging the ground. I'm afraid I'm gonna rip the bumper off of this one. I'm going about 5 miles an hour, exactly 5 miles an hour, and I'm about half a mile away, and then I'm gonna unload this son of a gun and get it over, and then see what I can do from there. So any operation, farming, logging, whatever, trapping, whatever I do, it's never without complications. You're using old equipment, and that stuff just happens, so you get to deal with it. So anyway, hopefully we'll get everything off without a hitch here before dark. All right, we got her unloaded off the trailer. I don't think we broke anything, and nice little snow squall here, but we are going down the road here to the woodlot. All right, well, here we are, and gonna see if I can get my tractor stuck. Cut some wood here yesterday. Let's take a look. I just went down this trail. I opened this, well, I made this trail. I didn't go, I actually created it. And it's setting up pretty hard, but I don't know how the tractor is gonna do with this uneven ground. I gotta cut every stump out so the tractor can get through. I made this as a log yard. I gotta cut these two trees that were too big for the processor to get. I'll get them with the chainsaw. But yeah, I opened up this area to stack logs in, and hopefully I'll be able to do that. This was kind of a mess. I had no place to put all that stuff, all those tops. But we'll see what we can get done here just to get started. As a start, I'm going to clear out these small limbs and stuff and cut stumps down and try to get on this trail. I actually may if I back the tractor here, I can take those and start winching those logs in, and I can winch them across this high spot in the trail, and hopefully they'll knock that snow down, and I can use the bucket of the tractor a little bit too. So yeah, it's nothing but work, but here's sort of the accomplishment so far. Came in with the processor yesterday about midday, and I cut for, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours maybe. And I just tried to stack everything kind of to one side of the trail so that I can winch it out pretty easily. And notice I left a lot of trees. That's a spruce. I left all the spruce trees. I just tried to cut the fir. Quite a bit of fir in here. There's a nice big spruce that I left. There's a tamarack there and some really big aspen. Those are right next to the road, so those are kind of a hazard to try to cut. And see this, I'm going to go in to this spot next, but there isn't much to cut there. I'm just going to thin it out so these trees can open up to the light and get a little bit of growth. Oh, I missed one right there. I missed that tree. It's all right. Yeah, I went down a little ways past beyond here, and you can almost see right to the end. As far as you could see is about where I stopped, and we'll continue on from there. See what we can do. Hey guys, once again I failed miserably in documenting any of my logging activities with the camera. There's just so much to do and so little time to get it done, and I'm just running against the clock. It's March here, it's going to be warm pretty soon, but yeah, I just wanted to give you a look. This area this looked like that opposite bank on the other side of the road the other day, and you can see how tall these banks are. I had to cut this out with my tractor and make an opening so that I could get here from the main road. This is the main road. It's a dirt road. It's paved about a mile up that way. And this goes way deep into the woods. But yeah, so this is my area, my property. I think I got like 400 feet of road frontage. There's a flag over there. It's pretty well marked property. It's 26 acres here. And so the first thing I had to do, there was an old road. This was on an old road. It was actually wet. I spent a bunch of time the day I opened it up. It was like 50 degrees out, and I thought I'd go down to the frozen ground while the snow up above had softened up, and I get down to the bottom and the ground hadn't frozen here. So I got stuck several times and made some messes, and so I had to wait for that to freeze up, which it did. And then I had to clear all this and clear all the big trees that were on the edge of this old road. And a bunch of those are right here. So there's white birch and aspen, and that was a tamarack, and there's some spruce in there as well. The fir is what I'm cutting. So here's the old tractor with the logging winch. That's been a real pain in the butt this past week. And there's the processor. That's actually been working awesome lately. I don't want to say anything because I don't want something to break on it, but it's been great. So I cleared this area. I had to cut all these trees and then kind of set them aside and then make room enough to start stacking them. And then I had to pack this down. This was all soft snow, 2.5 feet of it. And I finally get it packed down to the machine and get it to freeze after a few days. And then I've been making a couple trails going in and cutting wood. I got one over here. I'll show you in just a minute. But yeah, the excavator is on the old existing road, which is wet in the summer. It's really designed to be a winter road. So this is the balsam fir that I'm cutting. It is a short-lived species, and these ones are starting to get rotted already. So this probably needed to be thinned out maybe 8 or 10 years ago. But I just bought this property a couple years ago. It had been abandoned for a long time. You could see I've been having to cut a lot of the butts. There's rot. And that one, I think the mill won't complain too bad about that, but you got to watch that. There's a little rot there. There's a little rot there. That one I may have to pull out of the pile. I didn't notice that one. But yeah, then the rest of it's pretty good sound wood. I'm just looking at these. Actually, doesn't appear to be all that old. But see, this tree, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then it stopped growing. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that's about a 30-year-old tree, between 25 and 30. That's actually not too bad. But you see this one is quite a bit smaller. That's the top log. It doesn't count. It's not a butt log. But yeah, a lot of these trees, that one actually grew pretty good. A lot of the smaller ones, the butt logs on the smaller ones, you notice that they really stopped growing, and they're the same age as these bigger trees. So they were just starting to rot, even the little guys. So that's kind of my goal. So I have several different species of trees. I have quaking aspen, which is the big, what we call popple. There, you'll see over there, there's some young aspens standing up tall right there. Can I kind of hold off on those? They're a little small to cut, but there's occasionally a few really massive ones. That one's pretty big. There's some that are even a lot bigger than that out here, but there aren't many of them, and I don't really have a lot of room. I don't have a landing to put them. I'd have to clear another spot somewhere. Property boundary's right next to me on this side. So right now I'm just focused on the fir, and a lot of that popple, I think once I let the younger stuff grow up, especially when I thin this fir out, it's the popple's going to grow a lot faster, and I think it'll be even better harvest here maybe in 5-10 years. But let's go down my first trail. I finished log cutting on this trail, but I haven't finished yarding the wood because I kept getting stuck with the tractor today. But let's go check it out. This morning the snow was hard, and it actually was pretty good going. I didn't get stuck too many times, and then about 2 hours in I just couldn't go anywhere. But this is starting. You can see I dug that hole with my front tire in my tractor. So you can see I came through here and I finished cutting this. This is all cut. But you can see I left a lot of trees. I left all those aspens. This is white birch. I left the white birches. I only cut those species where I had to make room to make a trail. There's a bunch of small fir here. I don't know how much of this is gonna come. I think those have pretty good crowns, and I think those trees are gonna do well. Now that I've opened this area up, they're gonna grow into this area and they're gonna grow pretty fast. But the thing that excites me the most is, you can see I cut a bunch of fir in here, but that is a red spruce tree, and those trees will live for a couple hundred years. So that tree is gonna be, I want that to be a 16-18 inch tree. A lot of people would cut that right now since they're already here, but because I have the advantage of I own the land, I'm gonna leave that tree, and because I know I can be back here if I want to be. It's not like a logger that doesn't know whether they'll be able to cut this again in the future. So I've opened up around that tree, but I haven't opened up too much to where it'll blow down. I'm hoping that there's enough in that stand to hold up, keep that tree keep that tree from blowing over and growing into a really nice mature tree. So let's go a little further down my trail here. Getting to some places where, so those are some birches I just cleared out. That's a log that I haven't got yet. I gotta pick that one up. It's a little bit small. I'm hoping the mill wants like 4 inches diameter at the top. This was a real thick stand in here. Those are a few small logs I'll pick up. Here's some logs to pick up. So basically I cut with my processor, and the processor cuts the tree down. It cuts the limbs off it, it measures the length, and it cuts it to length into 8 or 12 foot logs. And then I go back with my tractor and I use my tractor winch and I hook on with chain to each one of these logs, which is, I need a forwarder. This is really labor intensive part of it, but I don't have the money for that right now. This one's a tamarack. I want that to grow to a nice big tree, and maybe I'll make a barn with the boards from that. There's a big popple there. That one's probably not going to be around. That one too, there's a huge one. That's already got mushrooms. It's starting to die, but it's right out in the road, and there's power lines now on the road. So I don't even want to dare try to cut it. They just put power in here, I don't know, a month or two ago. Here I had, the trail continues up to the property boundary there, and then I cut another trail into here and then looped back, but there wasn't much wood in there. But here we got a few logs that are left. And so you see there's another popple, but we've got a bunch of trees left here that are gonna take advantage of these openings. And the cool thing is, like, this is all in the snow, and it hasn't done any ground disturbance whatsoever. It's a really light equipment, light touch to the ground, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, a few more logs here. These are the last of it for this trail. We're close to the property boundary over there, but this thing goes way back here. I got so much to do here. It's gonna be fun. I came through here with the excavator, but I never came with the tractor because there really isn't any wood on this little stretch. There's a bunch of small stuff that there's no market for. I'd like to thin that out, but it's very time consuming. So yeah, it's a fun little project. I mean, it's work, but it pays, and it can be pretty enjoyable, and it's really good exercise. So it's not as convenient as being at home, but I'm probably 10 minutes from the house, so it's not that bad. I can't just jump out, get home from work and jump on the tractor. I get to drive over. All right, I'm making my way back to the landing. I have a few trees in here. I didn't get into this yet. This is gonna be thinned out, opened up, cut. See, I'm gonna cut that fir tree there, that one there, maybe the one next to it, a couple more in there. But you see this makes deep tracks in the snow. There's so much snow here. I can't take my tractor through this without packing a trail down. And it can't just be 2 tracks with a bunch of snow in between them. I gotta go over and over with the machine to get it packed down pretty evenly so the tractor can go over it. That's my weak point right there, that tractor. But one more, I'll take you to one more, and then I gotta come through here. I just came through and I cut stumps that I would hit with my tractor. I'm gonna come back through with the processor excavator, and I'm gonna run those tracks up and down this trail now that the stumps are gone, and I'm gonna pack it down really nice. So this, I got into a really good area. Now there was a lot of rot, but man, this is a pretty sweet little patch of wood. This is one of the spots when I bought this, when I was looking at buying this property. I came in and I walked through here and saw this. I was like, man, there's some money here. This really is a valuable, pretty good piece of woodland. It has to be taken care of, it has to be cut, because it's just starting to rot. But boy, there's a lot of decent trees here. So here is just the start of this stand, and these are some of the fir logs that I got into coming in through here. And I just ran, I got my property boundary is really well marked here. It goes to a 90-degree angle and then it cuts straight to the left. I got it flagged there. And this just goes along the boundary. What I'm going to try to do is get this froze down, get all this wood winched out. This is going to be tough. The snow is just really powdery and soft and granular. It's like sugar. But hopefully we got warm weather coming tomorrow, and hopefully that'll get a lot nicer. So there's the corner, one of the corners. I think there are like 6 corners on this property. There's a survey pin, and I got it flagged across to the going towards the next corner. There's some painted trees there, but I came through this stand and you could see to the right of it there's just a bunch of really nice wood, and that's what I got into right here. So if it wasn't for the rot, I'd have probably half again more than I got here. But this is just like 2 hours. There's just like a couple hours of cutting here, 2, maybe 3, and we got quite a bit of wood here. This is pretty exciting. If you could smell it, it smells just like a Christmas tree. Look at all that, all them logs. So this was, the advantage for me here was this was all one species, and you don't want that in the woods. I don't want a monoculture, I want diversity of tree species, but this just happened to grow up this way, so it's what we're left with. So we're gonna take care of that. See, I left those aspens, I left that birch. There's another aspen, left the smaller fir. There's some still got to cut. I'm gonna set over and make a trail there probably next weekend, or whenever my next day, after a couple of days from now that I get off of work. But yeah, so those, you can see there's a bunch of pieces those are no good. Like that right there is a whole tree. That's a whole tree that was rotted, and I kept cutting chunks off of it hoping I'd get away from the rot and get past it, but it was rotted all the way up. And you see it's really dark there, and it gets lighter and lighter and lighter, but it's still rotted all the way to the top. This one, I got to the end of the rot. You can kind of see where it ends. There's the little patches and splotches. That one was a good log, but that was a little task of just trying to get the rot taken care of and keep it out of the pile, and get the good stuff. So there's our property boundary. It's a really nice piece of ground. I'm looking forward to watching this grow back and seeing what happens once it's thinned out and how the remaining trees respond. And I just ended here because we're getting later on in the day, and I gotta pack this trail down before tomorrow. Probably go home, spend some time with the kids, and yeah, give the machines a break for a while. But the boundary keeps going that way, probably I think another couple 100 feet, and I'm just gonna keep running along this old trail, and then get to at some point there's a big opening down there. When I get to that opening, I'm just gonna set over, and I'm gonna come back up and make a new trail where I can just reach what I couldn't reach from this trail, and then come all the way up, kind of parallel this trail, and come back out to the landing. So we'll see how that all works out. I don't know if how much time I'll have before I run out of time. So it's like the 5th of March right now, and it's gonna get warmer, and when it gets warm here and things thaw out, the roads get posted. So that means that you cannot drive big trucks on the road because it'll ruin the road when the frost is coming out of the road, and it tears up the pavement with big trucks on it. So they shut the whole road down for like a month, sometimes more than a month, sometimes like 6 or 8 weeks. And you gotta wait till the frost comes out. And so I'm hoping I can get at least one load out of here before the road gets posted, and and then whatever's left, I'm gonna have to wait until June. You're not supposed to leave logs for more than 60 days without getting trucked, but I should be able to deal with that for the most part. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Try to have fun anyway. All right, guys, sorry I didn't get you. I'm gonna, at some point, I'll get video of me actually operating through some of this ground and cutting trees down, and winching trees out and that sort of thing. But we'll catch you next time.